Children all over the world are suffering right now. In Africa, little Abdallah and his friends are being forced to carry water over 20 miles a day, just so that film crews can get video footage for charity commercials. In India, 5-year-old Manish was forced into the sex trade. As a pimp. In Redondo Beach, California, Mary Ann is being regularly dressed up in over-sexualized clothes and dragged to child beauty pageants by her domineering and emotionally scarred mother. But the division has a plan to put all of this right and to improve the quality of life for children right across the globe. In patch 1.7, they're introducing gambling for kids. With encrypted caches, the division plans to end child suffering by helping them develop impulsive behaviour disorders and set them up for a lifetime of gambling addiction. Children will be encouraged to spend real-life money, desperately trying to get rare vanity items that never drop, and win useless crap instead. The momentary thrill of opening the encrypted cache will be nothing compared to the crushing disappointment of finding out you didn't get that item you wanted. And all of this will not be able to compare to the adrenaline rush of sneaking into your parents' bedroom and trying to steal their credit card numbers. The division, making the world a better place for the children, but mainly the shareholders. What a bunch of cunt lords. Well, it's all kicking off this week. The good news is Ubisoft has decided not to get involved in organ trafficking or child prostitution just yet, and has instead opted to introduce child gambling to shill some more cash out of the player base. PC PTS is live and the community is being recruited to work as unpaid bug testers on the totally unfinished 1.7 patch. The console PTS has turned into an enormous clusterfuck, and a Navy MP5 recipe is on sale this week, and the entire vendor reset community has simultaneously jizzed in their pants. The entirety of the community and development team is either on holiday, in the fucking brothel, or working on the Division 2, and Matt Shotcher has been left to manage the entire sordid console PTS affair on his own. Yannick, unfortunately, had to fly solo in the State of the Game this week as Hamish is currently on holiday. Hamish was last seen at a crystal healing convention being held at a nudist colony in the north of Sweden. So without further ado, let's watch Yannick valiantly try and do Hamish's job. Something tells me that Hamish might be getting a pay rise when he comes back. Trigger warning. This video contains sound effects of screaming.
Welcome everyone to State of the Game for July 6th. So as you can see, I'm all alone here.
So lonely and sad, real alone.
Thank you guys for the support. We're gonna be alright. Oh wait, I got confused. Peter is typing something in the... No, Peter, what are you doing? Alright, so what's going on with PTS? We've got a bunch of great feedback, just we're more interested at getting the raw reaction to the update. As a player, when you get a full classified gear set, you should be able to do pretty much, anything in the game. Classified will kill the PvP. Classified should balance between each other, so let's do math together.
Why aren't more people encouraging? Like me.
So you get 0.1% per stack. So when you get 100% stack, you get 10%. That's a given, that's not related to your stamina. But on top of that, you get 0.01% per 2,000 stamina you have. So if you have 6,000 stamina, you get 0.03% on top of your 0.1% per stack. Per stack you get 0.13%, which makes it 13% when you have 100 stack. I'll be here all day if you have math questions. 1274 to 1401. The bunch of bug fixes, that's where I need Hamish.
So ornery inside real Rome.
So the name of the global event is Outbreak. The theme is headshots. So PTS on consoles, it's still happening. We are still on track for opening them next week. It's gonna be a bit complicated to keep track of which platform has what. You guys will have PTS 2. PC will probably, at this point, have PTS 3. Now, why 10,000? 10,000 per platform? That's mostly just due to when we did the dump. So if you have a valid email address on your Uplay account, and I've been active in the 30 and then this list we sort it, or we rank it by total playtime since the game has launched. So since the game has launched, the top 10,000 of this list, basically. So from the guy that played the most until the 10,000 player who played the most from that platform. That's how we did that. And then again, if we want to have a second invite, or second wave of invite, from number 10,001 and all the way down until, you know, how many people we want to invite in total. If you receive an invite and you know you can't do the PTS, any new weapons? No, there are no new weapons coming with update 1.7. I like how people are just Google translating their questions to French. Asking a question in French does not increase the chances for you to get an answer. Where is Hamish? Hamish is not here. I miss him too. Time to sign off. No, it's not happening. We fucked up. That's what happens when we don't have Hamish with us. And I'll be seeing you in the State of the Game next week, where I will probably be alone again because Hamish will still not be back. Thanks guys, see you!
So Scruffy's fucked then? Thanks for nothing. I'll start carving the headstone. On the upside, I'm gradually wearing down Eric's, and I reckon with a bit of pressure we could persuade him to put his cat up for ransom next. No new guns in 1.7, the new classified gear sets are intentionally God mode, and Yannick just reminded me of all the reasons I hated math at college. I am fucking impressed that I still had problems with unbalanced audio, and there was only Yannick there. He must have a telescopic neck that moves his head closer and further away from his mic at will. Fuck, perhaps he could do the next State of the Game wearing a neck brace. Or Petter can gaffer tape him to a plank of fucking wood maybe. So, the PTS is live. Kind of. One thing that was made explicitly clear is that classified gear is intended to be vastly superior and become God mode once min-maxed. So if you're testing fucking bonkers classified builds and think it's retardedly overpowered, be aware that this is the fucking plan. If I got my crystal ball out, I would predict that classified gear will launch, be overpowered, we will grind it until our eyes fucking bleed, and then they will nerf it. History repeats itself. Groundhog Day, anyone? It's already starting to look like the community has been cheekily used like zero-pay bug testers on an alpha build, and not really testing the final build of 1.7 yet. This certainly seems to be the case with PTS 1. Last time I checked, the PTS was a way for us to test game balance and performance issues, which is not possible if the gear doesn't work properly. We are supposed to be doing pre-release testing, but we're not testing and reporting back on the final patch so it can be tweaked. We are testing broken shit. So how the hell can we guess if it's balanced or not? Then there is the thorny issue of the console PTS. The Division players on console represent a massive segment of the community. Personally, I'm a PC player, but I have nothing but respect for console users. I can't hit the side of a cunting barn with a controller. Okay, that's a lie. I can hit the side of a fucking barn. With my face. Then spin around and then fall off the nearest cliff. I'm trying to teach myself how to play FPS games on Xbox, but fucking hell, most of the time I look like a blindfolded drunk, spinning around and shooting in the air every time I make contact with a group of enemy NPCs. It isn't pretty or fucking dignified. Anyway. When looking into this debacle, I have come to appreciate that console PTS is difficult to organise. I get it, but I'm not sure that at this point most console players have any fucks left to give. They were promised a PTS, and what they have got thus far is somewhat of a, what's the word I'm looking for? Shit show. First off, they were told there would be a console PTS. Then it was announced that there were selection criteria to qualify. Numbers were limited to 10,000 per console, split across all territories. Then there were delays. Then there were more delays. Then it was announced that console would miss PTS 1, which might be a good thing to be honest. Anyway, now it appears that the launch date has been set back again, and will still be one build behind PC. And now the invites are finally being sent out, and a lot of people with insanely high hours count are not getting invited. Initial reports would certainly seem to confirm that the invites are not reliably reaching their intended target. People with over 3,000 hours played did not receive invites. And there is at least one report of a PC player being emailed a code. Working as intended? I have my fucking doubts. And now there are reports that PS4 players in the US who preloaded the PTS can just log in without an invite. Add to this that the email being sent out is indistinguishable from a fucking scam email and contains no personal details, and the fact that many people are reporting that the access doesn't work anyway. Perhaps this is because the PTS isn't live, so it's either a technical failure or a communication failure. But failure never the fucking less. And all the time this is happening, a privileged few individuals, the select besties and bum chums of the community management team, most of which are, you fucking guessed it, streamers and content creators, are running around waving their hand-delivered PTS invites in the air like Veruca fucking Salt showing off her golden fucking ticket to Willy Wonka's chocolate factory. Not to mention, there are streamers who have managed to do giveaways for keys because somehow they managed to play the system and have bundles of them to give away already. It has turned into a proper cake and arse party, and this is before any have gone on sale yet, because yes, there's nothing to stop you selling them. This situation is probably winding a few people up. Just throwing that out there. The end result of all of this is that the console players are feeling like undervalued second-class citizens left to eat the scraps from the table of their PC master race overlords. And I don't fucking blame them. People can say what they like about this fiasco. Some are claiming console players are getting upset over nothing. Some are blaming the complexities of console PTS. Some are claiming people are stoking the fires of discontent. But the harsh reality still remains. If the console community is fucked off and angry about how this has panned out, you can't blame them. The organisation, execution and communication strategy is the responsibility of Ubisoft. If this has been planned, delivered and communicated in a way that has fucked off the console players, then this is a failure of execution. Most probably resulting from lack of resources, not lack of effort. I'm sure they're working their asses off right now, to be fucking honest. Talking about communication, anyone going onto the forums, Reddit or social media and accusing console players of being self-entitled brats, frankly, and how can I say this politely, they need to shut their fucking pie holes. You are not going to make people feel happier by calling them out as cunts. Not to mention the fact that this is not an issue of entitlement. We are fucking customers. If the customer isn't happy, calling them fucking names isn't very good customer service. Name one other business where if the customer was unhappy, the manager would come out and accuse them of acting self-entitled. I've done it now. I bet you guys can name loads of businesses where they do that. But you get my fucking point. The one silver lining to all of this is that based on past experience, the final release of patch 1.7 won't be anything like the last PTS version. They will make a ton of last minute ad hoc changes and then just crank that shit out half finished. And the patch that does finally hit as 1.7 will look nothing like the last bout of PTS. I guess the best way I can describe the console PTS thus far is 10 out of 10 for effort and also 10 out of 10 for clusterfucking. If I've made a factual mistake, misrepresented what is going on, or been unfair on anyone involved with the console PTS in the way I have portrayed it, then my defence is this. If anyone actually knew what the fuck was going on, there was one central information point of contact and it was kept up to date in real time, then I could just report on that. At the moment, it's like trying to describe what the turds are doing in the middle of a shitstorm. It's fucking chaos. Talking PTS, I'm also hearing stories that one of the global events modifiers means that a pair of guys with pistols will be able to solo legendary content by chaining a specific debuff. I'm pretty sure if the devs had tried this shit out for themselves first, it would have been obvious. It also sadly seems like they did not reconsider how fucking abstractly shitting ludicrous Mr. Pussyhead game mechanics were going to be, and they are going full steam ahead. So farewell in-game lore, goodbye common sense, adios logic. It's time to say hello to Harry Potter and magical NPCs who apparently have skulls containing a litre of exploding pus and a pack of fucking razor blades. Before we hit the vendor reset, there is a serious issue I need to discuss concerning a very disturbing implementation occurring in 1.7. So exactly what the fuck is an encrypted cache? They are caches you buy with 150 premium credits, which cost real dollar bills. Alternatively, you can farm key fragments, which I assume are going to be as rare as fucking rocking horse shit. The loot is randomised, according to a loot table we won't be able to see. And if you already own the loot, you just get a fragment or two in its place to collect for making another key for another day. 150 premium credits works out about £1. So on the PTS I tried 8 caches and I got a pair of shit sneakers and a grey hat. And it worked out about $10. Not much of a fucking deal really. Not the biggest statistical sample, I know, but it's in the general ballpark. The kicker is, obviously, the more vanity items you own, the smaller your chance becomes of getting anything useful. So by the law of diminishing returns, once you have nearly everything, capping those last few items is going to become exponentially more difficult. And I'm talking harder than Barrett's chest in 1.5. You see, that's the thing about gambling. It's inherently stacked in the favour of the house. Casinos don't have to cheat, because the odds are stacked against you. The whole system is set up so that on average you will always win slightly less than you lose. Nothing more complex than that. So if you gamble long enough, eventually they will have all of your money. Just like these caches, the whole point is to extract more money from you than the stuff is actually worth. That's why they're not just selling you the items individually. They want you to gamble against the odds for the stuff so that you end up not paying a fair price. Selling cosmetic packs were fine, and I bought all of those instantly. Selling the overpriced crap at the premium vendor is a step down from that, but still stays within the realm of averagely overpriced shitty. But introducing gambling into the game to exploit people who are either completionists or have poor impulse control is really fucking low. The thing is, I don't think it's legitimate to introduce this kind of gambling mechanic into a game unless that game is a legit gambling game and licensed as such. This is a gaming environment with a lot of young kids who are under 18, for fuck's sake. I'm not virtue signalling in some attempt to appear more morally virtuous by shouting, "Think about the kids." I don't even fucking like kids. I'll make the odd exception if it's a mate's kid or they're good at shoplifting or something, but for the most part, kids get sticky fingers on my gaming kit, they ask difficult questions about life, which I usually just end up lying about, and they do terrible DPS. Don't misunderstand me. If there are any hot chicks around, I'm perfectly happy to pretend I like kids. Women find that kind of crap attractive apparently, so I'll pat little Billy's head, smile, and give him money to spend on cigarettes or whatever the fuck 6-year-olds do these days. But nevertheless, on principle, I despise any attempt to disguise gambling, real gambling with money, and peddle it to children. It's fucking shady, even by my morally bankrupt standards. My conclusion on encrypted caches is this: the basic idea is fine, but once you sell them for real money, you turn it into fucking gambling. It's great that people can grind in-game for appearance items, but once those transactions become real financial transactions, you turn it into something sinister. This is the gamblification of video games, pure and fucking simple. It's on dubious legal grounds, and a legal test case away from being outlawed. What with the overpriced premium store and now in-game gambling for kids, the division is fast turning into the Martin Shkreli of the gaming world. Well, it simply would not be a news dump without you guys forcing me to do a vendor reset, like a gimp in a sex dungeon being led around on a leash. So here is the weekly vendor reset. The hub vendor. Nothing for me today? I guess you must be the dude sorting out the PTS invites for North America then. The special equipment vendor. The Liberator is not totally fucky for PvE, although I despise that Harry fucking Potter talent. The Boo recipe vendor. Go on, there it is finally, the MP5 submachine gun. Dear Lord, buy that recipe or you will only regret it later. Or you could get that converted USC blueprint, if you like shit guns. Advanced weapon vendor. Fuck all. Base of operations weapon vendor. Fuck all. Base of operation gear vendor. Fuck all. Jesus Christ. Appearance vendor. Finally, a proper grown-up weapon skin that doesn't look like it was designed by someone on acid playing with a box of fucking crayons. The base of operations dark zone gear vendor. Some more useless toss. Wolves Den. A fairly shit VX1 scope. Perfect for the 3 snipers who don't use Deadeye. Autumn's Hope. Some rather good lighting effects and some rather lazy environmental design. Look, the faces repeat over and over. Dante's Run. Some electronics mods with plus 6% XP. And drinking games with the world's most sulky man. Kerman Station. Depressed Joe is clearly upset that every fucking bag in this shithole contains the same checkered shirt. The Cavern. I know it's the end of the world, but do you fancy a quick game of strip poker? Oh, and the vendor is only selling shit as usual. Camp Hudson's weapon vendor. Cones. And a slightly shit Omega suppressor. Camp Hudson's gear vendor. Plus 3% damage to elites mods. Hoover up these puppies fast. Meat Locker. Another fucky Omega suppressor. I don't know why it never occurred to me before, but Meat Locker would be a great name for a really seedy low-rent brothel. Like the ones I go to. Are you a prostitute? Madison Stand. Some low-roll pulse mods. Better than nothing, I guess. Have you pissed the bed again? Must be the stress of the apocalypse. Last call. Are you a prostitute? Shit, that's my best chat-up line too. Normally works like a dream. Then again, normally I use it in brothels. The Ward. Some pulse mods. And some firearms and plus 6% XP mods. I see this guy hasn't shit himself to death yet, so there's still a chance I'll be able to film it. Southpaw. A not shitty inventive backpack as a matter of fact. Are you following me? The Grindhouse. A paedophile. The Firewall. Here she is again. I reckon his clone situation is getting out of hand. The Crypt. a shit VX1 scope, and another paedophile. I guess we now know who this fucking sinister pedo kiddie fiddling cunt really is. This is the guy who came up with the idea of encrypted caches. So nice of him to take a few days out of his busy schedule of literally screwing children in the arse so that he could come up with a scheme to screw them out of their pocket money too. Christ, I can't even kill myself properly for fuck's sake. Even by normal standards, that was a fairly shitty selection of loot, but at least the MP5 recipe is there for everyone to masturbate over and rub against their chests. Or boobs. I'm not sexist. So, what have the ETF members been saying this week about everything that's happened? Some of them, like Cal and Binary Kitten, have been having some very sensible and balanced debates about patch 1.7 and the new gear. All very intelligent stuff. Some of the ETF, though, not so much. This week, one has been defending the gambling, another has told everyone on console unhappy about the PTS requirements to, and I quote, shut the fuck up, because he is sick of console players complaining about the limited numbers. One ETF member called us a bunch of bitches, and another ETF member described my channel as a cancerous shit show, me as an arsehole, and all of my viewers as a willing audience for lowest common denominator humour. And that is a direct fucking quote. What a fucking public relations masterpiece. That's more vitriolic than my fucking videos. These kind of views are not representative of most, well, some of the ETF members. I know some of them and they are awesome, balanced and reasonable people. But I would just offer up this one piece of advice to any outspoken critics of the player community. You are not doing the community, the reputation of the other ETF members, or yourself any favours by being flown out for an all-expenses-paid holiday from Ubisoft as a representative of the fucking community, then coming back and acting like everyone with a legitimate complaint is a grumbling, whiny cunt. And then making those views very public. I mean, let's put this in perspective. They still haven't fixed the fucking revive bug. People have legit things to complain about. I get it. I understand. If you play ball, if you toe the company line, if you always sing the praises of the game, you get free stuff, exclusive access, and Ubisoft employees with 20k followers tweeting out promoting your channel. But at least pretend that you're not a mind-controlled Ubisoft zombie. If not for us, then for the sake of your fellow ETF members who are demonstrating a little more balance in their opinions. Sometimes we all have to suck a dick to get by in this world. I'm no different. But you don't have to put on a pretty dress, lipstick, and sing good shit Lollipop whilst you're waiting to be fucked in the mouth. My final thought on developments in the Division for patch 1.7 is this. When I hold the fucking moral high ground, then Jesus cunt in Christ, this game must be in an ethically very dark place. Who would fucking believe that it would be left to me to try and cleanse the fucking temple? If I say one thing today that you hear without irony, sarcasm or humour, then hear this with absolute clarity. The introduction of encrypted caches, which is very precisely a gambling mechanism, in this game, paid for with real-life money, marks the day that the people who are really in control of the Division abandoned any pretense that they give any fucks about anything other than extracting every last fucking penny out of the players, be they adult or child. Before I wrap up this week's clusterfuck into a nice little package and stamp on it, I'm compelled to thank the players that make me look smarter than I actually am. I very much appreciate all the info, heads up and general tip-offs regarding what's going on in the game. You guys are in great danger of making me appear semi-fucking competent. And I thank you. Oh, and just before I go, I would very much appreciate it if you could go and check out these guys, CL2 and Terrra at Club North. They're just starting out on YouTube and made their first Division guide this week. Go and support a couple of new YouTubers, I've stuck the link down below. My parting thought about this week is this. If anyone watching has had anything to do with the design and implementation of the encrypted caches, you might want to reevaluate your moral fucking compass. If any of you have kids of your own, when you tuck them up in bed tonight, The precious kids that you would do anything for, that you want to protect from the evils in the world. Just remember that if you're part of this gambling shit show, you now are part of the evil in the world. Good luck, and happy hunting.